Yeah. Okay.
And I'm so sorry, everyone, for the inconvenience. Really sorry.
Good afternoon to all. Welcome to the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce Agro Summit. This is the first technical session we are having. We had a wonderful inaugural session with the elite panelists who have given us the way ahead for the value addition in agricultural produce. And the major component of value addition to be a success for agriculture produce is the cold chain and the supply chain industry. So the topic today, we have good panelists who are going to discuss about various cold chain available and also how to sustain the cold chain and what are the latest trends available in the cold chain. And also we have from NCCD to give the government perspective, and also Mr. Sanjay Singh, who is also going to be addressing us. He is the guest of honor. So without wasting time, and I would like to invite first Mr. Sunil Nair, CEO of Snowman Logistics, with 30 years experience in distribution and logistics and cold chain. Over to you, Mr. Sunil.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As advised by Sudhir, what I have done is I'll be talking about the overall cold chain aspects in brief. I have made 5-7 slides, but I tried to be as informative as possible. Let me just have it on the screen. Is it visible, my slides?
So yes, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay. So without wasting time, let me directly get into the cold chain that we have in our country, or globally, they are pretty same. So typically, the cold chain is divided into various segments. And if you go by the service type, there are two types of services within the cold chain that happens between harvesting to consuming, and that is typically warehousing, that is storage, and the transportation. When we talk about storage, we are typically talking about not just storing or preserving it, a lot of value add activities that happens within the storage premises, like sorting, grading, packing, etc. And then moving the stocks to various places, and at the end to the consumer is what the transportation does. So by service, when we categorize, there are two categories: warehousing and transportation. At the same time, we also categorize the produce in two categories, which is frozen and chilled. Chilled mostly is fresh in nature and can be consumed immediately. Frozen is something which is then further cooked or thawed before it is consumed. And by industry vertical, there are 4 major verticals, which is pharmaceutical, healthcare, food and beverages, and chemical, and other some industries where industrial consumption, like the batteries, etc., are also stored in temperature controlled area. But coming specific to food and beverages, which is our subject, here you will have further categorization of FMCG, dairy, seafood and meat, and of course the fruits and vegetables that we have under this category. Typically, a cold chain distribution network would be like this. Once the harvesting is done, it is moved, the produce is moved to the pack house, which is typically near the farm area, where it is further sorted, graded, and crated or packed, and then moved through a pre-cooling area where the temperature of the produce is brought down to an acceptable level, and where the produce is preserved for a longer life with a better quality. And then it is moved to the bulk storage area through a refrigerated truck. When we say bulk storage area, this is where the produce comes from various fields and various farms and various farmers, and then it gets consolidated. And then further it is moved to the distribution centers, which are typically located near the consumption centers like major cities and metros where the produce comes. They are stored and then further transported to the retail outlets. Either it is a catering unit, a restaurant chain, or it can be a horeca, or it can be just the retail supermarkets from where the produce is bought, and then it moves to the domestic refrigeration system. Once we buy from retail outlets, the fruits and vegetables comes to our domestic refrigeration, and then it gets consumed. So typically, if you see, there are so many levels of handling that happens right after the harvesting till it is consumed, and ensuring that the temperature and humidity of the produce is maintained throughout is the super critical criteria. And that's where the cold chain adds a lot of value to the produce by maintaining it in right environment and prolonging its life and quality. So the reefer logistics typically can be broadly distributed into three categories. One is distribution centers, which is the typical inland storage facilities, and the port facilities, basically for extreme movement of stocks with international logistics, and the transportation that happens within the country. Coming to the cold chain growth drivers, not just India, globally, these are some of the drivers which are driving the growth. Increasing world population. This is one of the most important thing where the consumption is increasing globally. Growing urbanization and increasing spending power is another major aspect of it. People are more focusing today on eating fresh, eating healthy. So this actually drives a lot of cold chain requirements. Modern agricultural practices are helping us grow or produce more quantity from the same acreage of land, and that is another driver to the cold chain requirement. Logistics infrastructure enabling movement of goods, whether it is international logistics or domestic logistics, the road conditions or the ways you can transport efficiently are something which is ever growing, and that is helping further growth of cold chain and the fresh produce movements across the world, and the overall international logistics, where countries are simplifying their import-export policies, particularly for food and pharmaceutical products. So typically a cold chain activity, which typically from harvesting to consumption would involve these activities offered by a cold chain service provider in any country, where it starts from a solution design. You design how, what volume, in what kind of mode of transportation should move, where all it should get stored, what kind of value add should happen in that, and what kind of efficiencies can be brought in, because typically agri produce is usually a low priced produce, and you cannot load too much of cost on it. So you always get caught between how much value you are adding versus how much cost you are adding. So these are typically the flows of solution design to transport management, warehousing, distribution, inventory management, which is also a very critical aspect of this cold chain management, because typically the produce have very low shelf life, and efficient management is important to reduce wastages. And then there are customized warehouses made for customized produces, and that's where that is one of the challenge also. When you make a facility for certain product, it cannot be used for multiple products. We will come to that when we discuss the challenges. So these are typically the challenges. High capital required when you set up a cold storage or a refrigerated truck for moving produce from farm to the consumption centers. The amount involved in investing for these infrastructure is very, very high. That's the reason usually a lot of parties hesitate getting into this kind of service offering, or a farmer is not capable of investing that much money to have his produce delivered to the outlets or consumption centers. Fragmented industry is another area where we find that there are many small farmers, many small cold chain operators, and small is not efficient. We know that as big the size is, it becomes more efficient as you optimize your fixed costs. So that is another challenge that we are facing. Technology and skill. Technology, while globally have developed a lot, but skill set is still a challenge. And technology is very costly. So these are the other challenges that we face. Uneven distribution of infrastructure. In India alone, if you see, there are more than 5,000 cold storages which are available, but they are all in the interiors of the country. and they are made for specific produce. So Nasik alone would have 500 to 600 cold storage facilities, but they are all made for grapes and pomegranate. No other produce can be used. When you make facilities for specific produce, you end up using it only for a shorter period of time. So a Nasik facilities, 500 cold storages are used from December to March, April only for exporting or storing grapes. After that, these facilities are idle. So there is a big idle cost that comes into play. So these are typical challenges, not just for India. Most of the developing countries face these challenges as of now. We all talk about sustainability when it comes to cold chain, because it consumes a lot of power. It consumes a lot of diesel when being transported. When I think about sustainability, I think it in three aspects. One is social sustainability. What is it adding into the social benefits? Whether it is decreasing poverty, it is reducing food losses, it is improving access to vaccines. It is improving access to various types of food products at interiors of the country. So social benefits, what is that a cold chain delivers? And then the economic benefits, is it increasing the employment? Is it reducing wastages? Is your solution reducing energy consumption? Is it increasing productivity? So this is economic sustainability also have to come in play, and the environmental sustainability, which we always talk about, reducing the carbon emission and less pollution, reducing wastage, and improving air quality of the air quality for the environment. So sustainability in all these three aspects is something which is the major area of focus for various equipment manufacturers in cold chain, whether you talk about the refrigerated trucks or refrigerated warehouses. These are some of the latest innovations that we have, and we at Snowman are trying almost all of them. Some of them are on pilot mode. Solar powered cold storage. We have almost all our cold storage facilities are solar powered as of now. So this is what we have done. We produce close to 6 megawatt of power from our solar panels, which are on rooftop of our cold storages, which equals to reducing 1.7 lakhs metric tons of carbon emission. And it is equal to 1.88 lakhs of seedlings for 10 years calculation if we do. So coming back to the innovations, the second one is variable frequency devices, which are typically used to monitor the power consumption throughout the cold storage. Each evaporator is mapped into it, and it checks whether the desired temperature is achieved, whether the compressor should run or should not run, or it should run in some intervals. And it with the AI, it monitors that, and it keeps switching it off and on to ensure that the temperature is always maintained within the range. At the same time, undue power consumption is not there. Blockchain technology is another one where the overall ecosystem of the cold chain, the farmers, the 3PL operator, the consumers can come on board and create a complete visibility of the produce, pricing, inventory, everything. Robotic processes where we have conveying systems or other movement systems within the warehouses are being also tried across the globe to make it more efficient. In India, it is still not the favorite one because we have enough labor availability. So even today, we are more focused on skill development rather than robotics. IoT in energy monitoring, which is typically monitoring energy consumptions during various hours, how much is consumed in the night, in the day, how much power is consumed when the loading unloading is happening, and then coming up with solutions to make it efficient is something which is being tried at many places. And the advanced telematic solutions for reefer vehicles and chambers, which is typically monitoring temperature and humidity for quality purposes. This is widely available. All our cold storages across the country and the trucks are monitored through this. There is a command center which is set up 24/7 in Bangalore, which monitors each and every exceptions that happen in the country. There are close to 900 sensors which would sense and keep giving the exceptions to the command center. So this is it from now. I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Sunil, for a wonderful presentation. You have covered all the aspects, right from logistics to solar powered cold storages, because that's a good initiative. In the earlier session, we were discussing the consumer is now very much aware about the product which he is using is coming from a green cold storage or a solar or whatever is that, lower carbon emission cold storage. So this is a new technology which you are already taken into your cold storage. Now, without wasting much time, I'll invite the next speaker, Mr. Vivekanandan. He's the director of Metechno India Private Limited with 30 years experience in cold chain technology, in infrastructure development. Over to you, Vivek.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Veer. I do cover the topic on the insulated panel system to build a modern cold store. That's the title I've taken now. So let me start this presentation.
Yeah.
It's a more of a technical presentation. I feel it should be quite useful for the designers. When we consider building a modern cold store facility, the key factors are type of products and its volumes and the space availability. What's the space? Do we have a space constraint? Then, if at all there is a possibility to increase the height of the building, height of the cold store. Then third is the energy efficiency level, which we have the control the energy losses, have a kind of fully automated system if possible on the goods movement inside the facility, and have very limited man movement only for a purpose of maintenance or something else. Otherwise, it's literally no man is going inside the facility. Then handle large volumes in short span. Like for example, we keep containers of 16 numbers or 20 numbers or 10 numbers. How to handle this loading, unloading of the product in a short span. And we have multiple design options based on the specific project needs. And finally, a project sustainability. The new modern techniques available for the facilities are ASRS system, which is purely a robotic or computer.
Vivek, I think you have to move your screen. I think you are in the first slide only. Make it a slideshow and show that. I think you are into the third slide.
Yeah, I'm able to see my slide, Sudhir.
You have to go to slide view first and then keep
Slide view and go to slideshow or slide view. Go to slideshow, I think.
Yeah, it's all.
Admin, can you please help him?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Is it?
No, you are in the slide.
Able to
resume the slideshow.
Sir, can you provide me the remote access? I have sent you the request. Can you allow it?
Accept karo, Vivek. Accept it.
Yeah, sure. One second.
Yes, click here.
Yeah, is it fine?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. You have to come to the full slideshow.
Admin is controlling your screen. Is it okay now or?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
I'm again sending you the request to control your screen.
Yeah, please. Yeah, it's up. Screen is visible now, Sudhir?
No, it is, you are showing it in
Sir,
a
you can
slide.
use your mouse to change the slides.
Okay.
Use your mouse and go to the next slide, no?
So we are running out of time. Do you want to speak without the PPT? If that is fine with you?
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So what we have done is on insulated panel system, the new things are FM approved PAR panels and raw cool panels. Raw cool panels also being used for building a facility, especially to protect the facility in case of any fire against property or for its product.
Mr. Sudhir Kumar, I'm so sorry to interrupt. The minister, sir, will be joining in 1 minute.
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
So we'll hold for a few minutes, or
Yeah, I think you hold for the minute, let him join.
okay.
Vivek, by the meantime, just check your slideshow.
Yeah.
If with your anybody in your office, if you can just check. Yes.
The Honorable Minister has joined.
So I would like to welcome our Honorable Minister, Shri Kailash Chaudhary ji, on behalf of IACC. Sir, are you there?
Yes, sir is on mute right now. He's
Okay.
traveling. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I welcome on behalf of IACC. Honorable Minister is current Minister for State for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. He is also a member of Parliament from Barmer, Rajasthan. He was a former member of the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly representing the Baitu Vidhan Sabha constituency of Rajasthan. Welcome you, sir. Please grace your gracious words to us. We are eagerly waiting for this Agro Summit for your kind words.
Thank you. इंडो अमेरिकन चैम्बर
सर।
द्वारा आयोजित इस महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम में हमारे मध्य विराजमान है आदरणीय डॉक्टर उपासना जी अरोड़ा जी और श्री सुधीर कुमार जी और सभी जुड़े हुए बंधुगण, भाइयों और बहनों। आज मैं सबसे पहले तो आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं कि ये कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया, और मैं स्वयं उसमें उपस्थित होना चाह रहा था, लेकिन मैं क्षमा चाहूंगा कि मैं उस कार्यक्रम में व्यक्तिगत उपस्थित नहीं हो पाया, कुछ विशेष कार्यक्रम होने की वजह से। और आज मुझसे पूर्व वक्ताओं ने भी बहुत अच्छे से अपनी बात को रखा है, और हम सब का उद्देश्य यही है कि एग्रीकल्चर के अंदर हम कैसे समस्याएं उनका समाधान क्या करें, और एग्रीकल्चर के अंदर आने वाले समय के अंदर चाहे वैल्यू चेन हो, चाहे अन्य प्रकार से हम एग्रीकल्चर को आगे बढ़ाएं, और एग्रीकल्चर के प्रोड्यूस है उनको मार्केटिंग की समस्या या उनका समाधान, किसान का हर विषय को लेकर आपने चर्चा की है और आगे भी ये चर्चा होनी है। और जैसा कि प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी का ये विजन है कि हमें आने वाले समय में देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना है, तो उसमें कृषि का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, और कृषि में आत्मनिर्भर होंगे तभी हम देश में आत्मनिर्भर होंगे, देश आत्मनिर्भर हो पाएगा। और आजकल मुझे ये बताते हुए भी खुशी है कि आज जो कोई समय में स्टार्टअप हो या अन्य प्रकार से जो भी काम करने वाले थे, वो कभी एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस के ऊपर बहुत इंटरेस्ट लेते नहीं थे, कम लेते थे। लेकिन अभी जिस तरह से सरकार की भी स्कीमें हैं, तो हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर के अंदर काम करने वाले जो इंडस्ट्रीज के लोग हों या एग्रीकल्चर इंडस्ट्रीज या हमारे स्टार्टअप हैं, उन सब ने जिस तरीके से नई टेक्नोलॉजी को लाकर काम किया है, वैल्यू एडिशन करके और बेच रहे, तो आज जो लोग पहले छोड़ चुके थे खेती में या खेती के साथ ही दूसरे प्रोडक्ट है वगैरह, तो उनको आज आम आदमी भी उस और आने लगा है। तो इसके पीछे आप सबकी मेहनत है, क्योंकि जितने भी इंडस्ट्रीज के लोग जुड़े हुए हैं आज मेरे साथ, मैं इनकी परिश्रम की और जिन जो आपने मेहनत की है अपने अलग से, जिस तरह से हर सेक्टर के अंदर जिस तरह से एग्रीकल्चर में आपने काम किया, आज उसी का परिणाम है कि हम जिस तरह से किसान ने अपने उत्पादन में भी वृद्धि की है और साइंटिस्टों का रिसर्च भी हुआ है। लेकिन अब सरकार की जो स्कीम है जिसके अंदर की हमारे एग्रीकल्चर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड का प्रावधान किया गया 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है, तो वहीं पर प्रधानमंत्री संपदा स्कीम योजना भी किसानों के लिए बनी है, और एफपीओ भी किसानों के बनाए, तो उसके अंदर भी जिस तरह से कि किसानों को उसमें वैल्यू एडिशन होकर उनको लाभ मिले। तो मैं आप सबसे यही कहूंगा कि अभी टेक्नोलॉजी का विशेष ध्यान दिया जा रहा है, तो इसमें इंडस्ट्रीज के जितने भी आप सभी बंधु हैं, तो मुझे ये जरूर है कि मंत्रालय के द्वारा जो भी कभी आपके समस्या आती है, कोई समाधान, उसके लिए भारत सरकार हमेशा साथ रही। भारत सरकार का, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का एक ही है कि सभी आने वाले समय में 2047 में हमें भारत को विकसित भारत बनाना है। अभी हम सिर्फ विकासशील की बात कर रहे हैं, तो विकासशील के अंदर हमारी ये सभी पिलर्स है, उसके ऊपर हमें काम करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमें किसान को भी आत्मनिर्भर बनाना है, तो उसके साथ साथ उसको मार्केटिंग भी मिले, और साथ में हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज है वो यहाँ पर अपने उसकी वैल्यू एडिशन करके, और इंडस्ट्रीज भी अपने जिस गति के साथ आगे बढ़ रही वो और आगे बढ़े। और हम एक्सपोर्ट कितना कर सकते हैं, मिलेट्स ईयर चल रहा है अभी, और मुझे लगता है कि मिलेट्स ईयर की वजह से जो हमारा श्री अन्न अभी उसका नाम दिया गया है, तो उसको भी प्रमोट किया जा रहा है। आज कई स्टार्टअप है, कई इंडस्ट्रीज के लोगों ने मिलेट्स के ऊपर भी कई प्रोडक्ट तैयार किए हैं अलग अलग। आज जो प्रोडक्ट है, तो उस प्रोडक्ट के अंदर भी एक आम आदमी में भी विश्वास जगा है। नेचुरल फार्मिंग पर भी सरकार काम करेगी। हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट है उनमें केमिकल का जिस तरह से अंधाधुंध उपयोग होता है, तो उसको भी कैसे हम कम करें, इस पर सरकार काम कर रही है कि हमें किस तरह से उसके अंदर केमिकल है या फर्टिलाइजर है जो उपयोग होता है, तो उसका कम करके और एक अच्छा शुद्ध आहार या प्रोडक्ट तैयार हो, जिसमें नेचुरल फार्मिंग पर भी भारत सरकार लगातार काम कर रही है। और आप और हम सब मिलेंगे तभी वो हमारा सपना पूरा होगा। और मुझे लगता है कि ये एक दूसरे के सभी हम पूरक हैं। किसान भी हमारा सहयोगी है, साइंटिस्ट है तो वो भी हमारा सहयोगी। आज आईसीआर समय समय पर रिसर्च करता आया है, और जिस तरह से पूसा के अंदर हो या पूसा ने या और आईसीआर ने जिस तरह से काम किया है, तो नई जो वैरायटी आना, एक वैरायटी कैसे परिवर्तन ला सकती है, क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन हो सकता है। किसान का, साइंटिस्ट का बड़ा रोल होता है। एक बख्शी राम जी थे, वो साइंटिस्ट थे, उन्होंने एक वैरायटी निकाली गन्ने की। उस गन्ने से प्रोडक्शन ही डबल हो गया। जस्ट उसकी हाइट जो 7-8 फीट थी वो 15-17 फीट तक, 20 फीट तक हाइट हो गई। तो उसमें तो ये एक साइंटिस्ट का भी उसमें रोल है, तो किसान उत्पादन करने में रोल है। तो ऐसे ही हमारे जो स्टार्टअप है उनका है, इंडस्ट्रीज के लोगों का है। तो मैं सोचता हूँ कि अपन आने वाले समय में सरकार के साथ, सरकार की भी यही इच्छा है, प्रधानमंत्री जी का यही लक्ष्य है कि हमारे आने वाले समय में भारत विश्व के अंदर जिस तरह से गति के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है, आज भारत की साख प्रतिष्ठा हर सेक्टर में बढ़ी है। तो कृषि के अंदर भी हम ऐसे प्रोडक्ट हैं जो विश्व स्तर पर भी हमारी जो उत्पाद है उनकी हम कैसे पहचान अच्छी बनाए। जैसे मेड इन इंडिया का अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट होता है, हम हमारे में इंडस्ट्रीज में से कई ऐसे इंडस्ट्रीज काम करने वाले हैं, इस चैम्बर के अंदर भी है, तो वो एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं। तो एक्सपोर्ट करें तो वो एक ऐसी हमारी पहचान हो जानी चाहिए। हमें उसमें गुणवत्ता के ऊपर हमें थोड़ा काम करने की आवश्यकता है। क्योंकि जिस तरह से मिलावटी चीजें आ रही है, तो उन मिलावट को कम करके हम कंज्यूमर के अंदर अपना कैसे गुडविल बनाए। ये सिर्फ देश के कंज्यूमर के लिए नहीं, हम वर्ल्ड के अन्य कंज्यूमर के अंदर की भारत का प्रोडक्ट होगा वो प्रोडक्ट है, उसकी हम गारंटी लेते हैं। और उसमें हर व्यक्ति के अंदर ये हो कि वहां का प्रोडक्ट होगा तो वो निश्चित रूप से गुणवत्ता की दृष्टि से और हर दृष्टि से अच्छा होगा। तो इसके ऊपर भी मैं आपसे यही उम्मीद करूंगा कि आप आने वाले समय में, जब देश के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमिक्स की और हम सब जा रहे हैं। एक समय था जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बने थे, तो उस समय भारत 10वें स्थान पर था आर्थिक स्थिति में, लेकिन आज वही भारत आज 5वें स्थान पे पहुंचा है। तो आप सभी के सहयोगों से और प्रधानमंत्री जी के उस विजन की वजह से, और आपने जिस तरह से किया, तो आज उसकी वजह से हम यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं। तो अब लक्ष्य ये है कि आने वाले समय भारत विकसित राष्ट्र बने। तो भारत विकसित राष्ट्र बनेगा तो उसके अंदर आप सभी के सहयोग से हम भारत को आने वाले 2047 तक हम भारत विश्व के पहले, दूसरे, तीसरे स्थान पर कैसे पहुंचे। तो इसलिए इस प्रयास के अंदर आप सबके सहयोग की निश्चित रूप से अपेक्षा है, और हम सब मिले, और ताकि हम भारत किसानों की भी इनकम बढ़ा सके, हमारे देश की भी इकोनॉमिक्स बढ़ सके, और भारत का भी सम्मान पूरे विश्व के अंदर हो। हमारी गुणवत्ता के ऊपर हम काम करें। और मैं आप सबको धन्यवाद देता हूं और बहुत बहुत शुभकामना देता हूं। पुनः मैं क्षमा चाहूंगा, मैं आना चाह रहा था लेकिन मुझे आवश्यक कार्य और उसके बाद में मुझे फ्लाइट भी पकड़नी थी, तो इसलिए मैं आप सबसे क्षमा चाहते हुए आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामना देता हूँ, बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। धन्यवाद देते हुए अपनी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत आभार।
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. We need your ministry's help for doubling the farmers' income. And this value addition of agriculture produce will go in long way in increasing the farmers' income. Thank you. Dhanyavad, sir.
So now we can continue with our session.
Continuing our session, Vivek, you have to wind up your session in 5 to 6 minutes. Yes, Vivek, please go ahead and finish in 5 to 6 minutes, please. You are on mute. Vivek, you are on mute. Continue, Vivek.
Yeah. The cold store design is basically on the kind of product we have, and then the volumes, and then the space availability. And if you have a larger volumes, lesser space, the height can go up to 65 feet. And energy efficiency is one of the main aspects to be considered in the design of the cold storage. And the kind of handling the volumes, how quick it has to be handled. So the planning required for that. And multiple temperature options to be one of the aspects to be considered for the design. And finally, a project sustainability. So ASRS system is being used in the modern facility where the computer controlled system being adopted to load the product and bring the product back to the handling area so that it is loaded back. The panel systems for the facility, cold storage facility, comes with the three options. The PUR panels. This is generally called as a polyurethane foam rigid. It is also known as PUB panels. The second category is a little bit more of good fire resistance compared to PUR panels, which is FM approved. And third one is the rock wool panels, which is being used in cold store applications, though the rock wool gives a very good fire resistant, minimum of 2 to 4 hours, and which is very, very good in terms of any fire happening into the facilities. These are the broad classifications on panels, PIR, PUR, and then the non-combustible categories, rock wool panels. These are all the products which is used for different purposes. This is a wall and ceiling panels. This is again for partitions. These are roofing panels. And again, we have rock wool. This is a product for roof, and then this is for the wall panels. The following design considerations are important when we build a facility with a large height. These are the typical joint details of the panels. The contraction calculation is very important, especially assuming the inside room temperature is -25, outside is 55 degrees Celsius, the delta T of 80 degrees Celsius. How the panel gets into this situation, the more stress and strain, those calculations are being done to protect the panel structure as it is for a longer the project sustainable time. So 15 years, 20 years, without any impact in the sense protect the life of the panels. So suitable designs to be required and be adopted. This again, this number of span for a particular height of the cold store could be 4 or 6 spans according to the requirements to be taken care. The next important aspect is on the air tightness of the building or the cold storage. There again, there is a pressure differential calculations to be calculated and suitable designs to be done. This is on the floor insulation, below the floor insulation, how the air ventilation is required. You can adopt natural air ventilation or forced air ventilation. According to the land and
Vivek, sorry to interrupt. We are not able to see any of your slides which you are talking
not
about.
able to see, yeah? Okay.
It is still on the second slide only. So I think
Maybe it's
there is some technical thing.
it's not
that you are
getting
unable to fix. You can broadly speak without seeing the slides. Maybe I'll give you another 2 minutes.
okay.
If you want, you wind up your presentation, please.
No.
Because nothing is, we are still on the second slide only.
Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe what I'll do, Sudhir, is I will forward this presentation. Okay, and then to Mrs.
Yeah, that's okay. That we will do it.
This can be circulated to the participants.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical glitch which you are, I don't know. It's your computer only, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's the best.
Okay, next, due to shortage of time, we will go to the next speaker, Mr. Shivin.
Yeah, thank you, Sudhir ji. I'll be sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Allow me a minute. I hope my screen is visible.
Shivin, due to shortage of time, 7 to 8 minutes, please.
Perfect. So I'll be presenting on frozen is the new fresh, as advised by Sudhir sir. So just to give a sense, the world population would soon breach the 8 billion mark. Our country, India, is home to 18% of the world population, and I think this April we have surpassed China to become the most populous nation in the world. So when we look at cold chain has emerged as an important and integral part of modern human life. Now, cold chain facilitates the preservation of two of the most important things that are required by any human being. One being food and the second being pharmaceuticals. I'm just going a bit fast so that I can cover everything. Now, when we look at a country like India, it is widespread. So it is essential that our cold chain reaches across different states. As we see a lot of growth happening in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. It becomes very important that our cold chain network addresses these cities where we are seeing incremental growth, and they are soon becoming, hubs of consumption in our country. Another aspect that I like to bring to your attention is India's protein deficiency. As per a recent study, about 70% of Indians still remain protein deficient. There is an immediate need to recalibrate the Indian diets to include more proteins in our diets. And most of these proteins are perishable, therefore requiring a robust cold chain, as well as an important and robust supply chain infrastructure to ensure that every citizen gets what they require. Whether it's medicine, oxygen cylinders, food, whatever it is, our supply chain should be ready for implementation. A most famous example is the recent COVID vaccines, which would not have reached the different states if it were not for a robust cold chain. Now, I think it's time to rethink fresh. Now, why we say frozen is the new fresh. Now, quite contrary to the beliefs, now fresh can be something that is temperature controlled. It means what has been, now it means something that is ideal for consumption, whether it's a chicken that has been frozen at its peak quality, whether it's fruits and vegetables that are perfectly ripe, or it's medicines that are effective and potent. Most importantly, all these products need to be safe and hygienic for consumption. Now, I'll just put a figure on the screen. This is a large figure. This is actually the annual loss of agriculture produce in India, which amounts to 92,000 crores. So when we look at food wastage or food loss, it is somewhere between 15 to 20%. I won't get into the breakup of different categories here, but not only does this have a social, it has an economic impact, but it also has an impact on the social economic development, as food loss also represents a waste of labor, water, energy, and other inputs that go into food production. And it is also leaving a higher carbon footprint. So we really need to ensure and learn to use our resources better. Now, here, if we look at what is wasted world over, it is enough food to feed 3 billion people. So if I would say if food waste were a country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter on the planet. Now, when we look at data for India, an average person wastes about 137 grams of food every day, which amounts to about 50 kilograms per year. So this is something that needs, we need to take cognizance of. And all this waste can be salvaged. There is a system that is working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that our food gets delivered on time and with quality. That is the cold chain. Now, when we look at cold chain, like food preservation must be given high priority. So if we look at cold chain, it is the process by which perishable food is maintained from farm gate to food plate. Now, in a country like ours, where we are producing more than 500 million metric tons of perishable food products every year, cold chain becomes even more important. If we look at key sectors, we are one of the largest producers of milk, second largest producer of, food globally, leading producer of meat, fisheries, third largest producer of generic medicine, and the list keeps going on. So it becomes essential for us to have a healthy and efficient cold chain network. These are just some, this is the cold chain that is spread across the country. Top 10 states account for about 91% of the cold storage in our country. There is lack of cold storage still in downstream supply chain and last mile, which needs to be worked at. When we look at the overall cold chain structure, more than about 75 to 80% facilities are for single commodity and not modern, that is for potato. So this is just to give a sense of the cold chain infrastructure in our country at the moment. I will not deep dive in these aspects of what the various pack houses, ripening chambers, cold storages, as Sunil ji has already covered the different various aspects. These are some of the components which have also already been spoken about. So I will straight get into the cold chain market drivers in our economy. What we are seeing is a lot of organized retail players coming in, also a lot of e-commerce, which are investing in cold storages. We're seeing good growth in the processing food sector. There has also been a shift in the way consumers consume. We are more conscious about having more proteins, having fresh vegetables, etc. And of course, the government initiatives and supports have enabled growth in this sector. Now, currently, India is processing only 10% of our agriculture output. There is immense opportunity in the food processing sector that is yet to be utilized. So India has the potential to become a global food processing powerhouse, which would require a robust cold chain infrastructure. These are some of the studies that NCCD carried out. I will move on to the next slide, which talks about certain trends. We are seeing, more and more multi-commodity cold storages being set up. We're seeing investments taking place in controlled atmosphere storage. A lot of automation and increase of use of electronic controllers as well as renewable sources of energy is something that we have been noticing. And another important aspect is regular training of skill levels of handlers and workers in these cold storage facilities. Now, I'd like to, conclude by leaving 3 key words for the future. First being food safety. So as a famous German philosopher said, a man is what he eats. There has been an increase in all-round consciousness of hygiene. And among the several types of hygiene, such as personal hygiene, environmental hygiene, etc., which impact our daily lives, food hygiene has naturally emerged as a major issue for regulators, consumers, and above all, the food manufacturers and companies. So this big food safety becomes a very important keyword going forward. The next keyword is food storage. The next generation technology is increasing yields and is making food safer in India, sustainable and more efficient with less carbon emissions. There is also an implementation of artificial intelligence, blockchain, advanced analytics that has opened new prospects in the field and has made supply chain more efficient and resilient. So I would say optimization of resources, whether natural or man-made, needs to be an integral part of our future endeavors. And last but not the least, food storage. Food storage will play a key role in the coming future, with cold chain being at the heart of food preservation. And this must be given high priority. If we desire less wastage, year-round availability of product, and better cost efficiency, cold chain is the only answer. We are the Global Cold Chain Alliance and are committed to building and strengthening the temperature control supply chain around the world. We are truly committed to a global cold chain because the food that we handle is the food that our families eat. I have a short video of a minute, and then I will conclude my presentation.
We are all eaters. Whether it's grab and go or gourmet, the food we eat matters. We all want food that's nutritious, delicious, and above all, safe. That's why we take what we do so seriously. Because to us, it's more than a meal. It's our promise. We work to ensure the food we all eat is safe, safely stored, safely packaged, safely shipped. This is our commitment. To support every link in the cold chain to ensure the food we all eat is kept at the proper temperature until it reaches its final destination. This is our vow. We preserve more than food. We preserve trust. By keeping the industry's food products safe, reliable, and ready to eat. By serving the manufacturers, producers, and companies we work with. By protecting the foods families love. Because we know that it's not just farm to table. Sometimes it's farm to factory, to warehouse, to truck, to grocery store to table. Because it's not just fresh or frozen, it's fresh and frozen. We advance improvements in technology, in transportation, and in storage. We invest in the infrastructure that keeps the cold chain strong. And we do it because the food that's on your table is the food that's on our table too. We're more than just a link in the supply chain. We are the cold chain. Proven partners in food safety.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiven, for the wonderful presentation.
Happy to answer any questions.
Talking about the future of the cold chain industry. Next, I would like to call upon our guest of honor, Mr. Ashish Fotedar, COO of NCCD and coming under Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare. Over to you, Mr. Ashish. Mr. Ashish? Ashish, you are on mute. Yeah.
Online, I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
So good afternoon, all. It's a great privilege to be here and honor to listen to the Minister, sir. And I would keep my presentation. It's not a presentation. I'll keep my whatever I think is required presently and what we are doing at NCCD very short and crisp. So I'd be speaking on some very important aspects, that's taking place today in the modern cold chain sector. So modern cold chain storage, which is the intermittent of the cold chain from the from farm supply chain and the consumer has changed a lot in last 2 decades. And last one decade is seeing changes which are happening rapidly around the cold chain sector. And these changes are mostly adaptation to technology and the modern cold storage endorse new components to add value to the overall supply chain also. Now presently what in NCCD we are also understanding and what are the most important factors considered in modern cold storages today. Why I'm speaking about modern cold storage is because as I just now said that it's a part of the overall cold chain, and it's an intermittent between the farmer and the marketplace, though supply chain forms a very important part of the overall system, but then logistics forms a very important part. But then if we don't have enough cold storages or we don't have pack houses at the beginning, then the logistics also does not play a very crucial role. So what is now happening is there are 2, 3, 4 points which have emerged very rapidly in the present cold chain scenario. One is energy. The second is energy efficiency. Third is again energy transition. Then fourth is climate. And fifth is, establishing a supply chain. And the most important aspect which is now coming to the fore is the establishment and shaping up of value chain. Why value chain is taking a center stage presently in the thoughts of the overall, thought process and the think tanks is because if you see presently, as I understood and I'm understanding, there are only certain amount of fruits and vegetables which are, being kind of either exported or have the commercial value in terms of when we go to the market. But then there are a lot of other producers which have high commercial values, but since their value chain is not kind of established in the present Indian markets, so they don't, reach to the markets very rapidly, or they lose or they get, because of maybe certain temperature conditions, they are not able to kind of reach to Indian markets, or even when they have the export values also, we are not able to export. Maybe, somebody was talking of, grapes. We have a very, established value chain. That's why, we are one of the leading exporters of grapes today. Pomegranate is also one of the producers where we have certain kind of, interventions, and then, it sees some place in the outside world. But then, banana, we used to do something export, then, banana was taken over by Malaysia and some South Asian countries. And similarly, if you talk of other vegetables, or, let's say of apple is, we import a lot of apples, and, but we are not able to kind of do an export on the apples because we are still, on the value chain side, we are still in the developmental phase, like we don't have clean planting material, or we don't have some quarantine facilities, which is not allowing, or the traceability is not there, which is not allowing our farmers to reach to the outside world. So the next step, what we are now looking is establish a value chain for another 5 to 10 products, for which NCCD is very soon to kind of, organize some more studies, make SOPs, documentation for the purpose of establishing this value chain, which will help us to kind of, push the economy of the farmer and make us more visible in terms of what we produce in India to the export markets or to the outside world. So that is one part of the very, very important part of the story. Second is energy efficiency, energy transition. It's very important that, while we are talking of cold storages, or we are talking of cold chain, we have to, kind of get sanitized and sensitized on the energy efficiency, and it is the responsibility and duty of everybody who is presently into this market, understand that it's very, very important to buy and design and use only those technologies which are futuristic, which are energy resilient, and have the possibility of transition in next 3 to 5 years, which means today, if we don't have the capability to go for a overall solar panel system, or some kind of energy which is renewable, or in terms of which can add less pollution or less damage to the environment, then is there the possibility in next 5 years I'm able to kind of shift to a certain type of clean energy, which is going to kind of add or decarbonize my climate or decarbonize my environment. So that is the kind of technology that is being now looked at, because in next 5 to 8 years, we all know that the kind of protocols our government has signed outside in terms of Kigali, or in terms of phasing out of refrigerants, it's very, very important that we start to kind of develop a protocols within ourselves, so that we use those kind of refrigerants and technologies which are energy resilient and are also kind of easy to transit in the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe we have certain amount of time as per the norms and conditions where we can use certain kind of energies right now, but I'm sure in next 10-15 years we have to move to the next phase, because by 2070 we had to be net zero. So this is the second most important aspect. And technology wise, I'm very sure most of the people here know that we are graduating in technology. We should use high energy equipments. We should go into IoTs. We should go into microprocessors. We should understand that every unit of energy we save is a unit of carbon that we are not adding to the atmosphere. And we should ensure, everybody here should ensure that, while they design a cold storage or a supply chain or into the logistics, they should consult consultants who are, wary of designing, do best of the technologies, come to NCCD. Even, somebody has to take, they want some kind of, any kind of guidance, or kind of, what is happening around the world, or what we are pursuing in terms of technology, and how do we, kind of save on these things. You're always welcome. By this, I am ending on the overall concept, what I was trying to tell. This is how we are looking from the NCCD point of view. We are also, I'll end by another, within 2 lines, that we are now going into the infrastructure study of present infrastructure that is around the world, that is in India. And in next 1 or 2 years, within the next 1 year, we will come up with the overall study that what is the present infrastructure that has been added from 2014. What is the gap analysis? We are also studying on the energy transition, which will study what is the infrastructure that is standing at present and how much energy we can, transit from the present energy that they are consuming. We are also looking at national grid and a green grid, which we will consider in terms of, because we are already into the cluster development, what is the percentage of new hubs which we are going to create and how we connect those hubs to the overall grid around the country to make our produce reach the entire part of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashit ji, for the insights into what the government is intending to do. And you have spoken very much on the energy saving part and the carbon footprint where we have to be in the next 10 to 15 years. Okay, without wasting more time, I would like to call the chief guest of our session, who has been patiently waiting for the other speakers to finish. Thank you for your patience, sir. I'm calling Mr. Sanjay Kumar Singh, Director of Mega Food Parks Cold Chain, Operation Greens and Backward and Forward Linkages, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Government of India.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir, and thank you, Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, for giving me this opportunity. The speakers have Mr. Sunil Nair has spoken about sustainability, about solar power and energy efficiency. Mr. Viveka Nandan has also touched upon the use of puff panels, but Mr. Shiven also talked about food safety and frozen is fresh. And Mr. Fotedar also talked about the most critical aspect of traceability, but I thought somebody might have the backbone of all these discussions have been the modern cold storage. We have only talked about the walls, but modern cold storages work on temperature controlling systems. Nobody has spoken about how this aspect can be taken care of. So since this is about modern technology, use of modern technology in making cold storages, so what kind of refrigeration system are to be used which are climate resilient? That is what I was expected from some of you to talk about. So presently, I am looking, so far as ministry is concerned, I have been to different processing units all across the country, and I have seen that they have built up cold storages, even the frozen storages, but the technology used is only ammonia based or freon based, and both of these technology is basically the liquid gas refrigeration system, compressed liquid gas refrigeration system. So my question to all of you is as to whether there is any other technology which is climate resilient, which is sustainable, which is also energy efficient, so far as refrigeration part of cold storage is concerned. So I leave this question to you. So far as my ministry is concerned, we have been implementing 3 schemes. One is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, which is taking care of mid-segment entrepreneurs. Then we are implementing Pradhan Mantri formalization of micro food processing enterprises, which is for the lower segment of the industry. And we are also implementing PLIS, which is taking care of the high-end, the bigger industry units. So far as PM-KSY concerned, I am looking after PM-KSY, 4 of these schemes. As Mr. Sudhir has pointed out, one is Mega Food Park, one is Cold Chain. One of the scheme that is being talked about is Cold Chain scheme. So we have been using cold processing technology for to the projects which are approved by us, whether it is IQF or it is plate freezer or it is blast freezer, things like that. And in the process, they also built compatible or associated frozen, associated preservation capacities also. So as I said, this cold storage, then the frozen storage. Cold storage is again only temperature controlled. little bit of humidity control, and also air controlled, also modified air also. So carbon and nitrogen is also controlled in some of the plants, say apple, etc. So far we have approved 1127 projects all across the country, involving the project cost of more than 22,000 crores of rupees. And for that we have given, we have committed grant of more than 7,000 crores of rupees. We normally give 35 to 50% of grant to those persons who come up with setting up of food processing technology associated with compatible preservation capacity as well. And with these projects, we would be adding up a total processing and preservation capacity to the tune of 286.88 lakh metric ton per annum. And in the process, we would be providing employment to more than 6.5 lakh persons and benefiting more than 51 lakh farmers also. So with this, I stop here. But the point that I wish to leave for the technology, for the industry which are into the equipment manufacturing, as to whether we can have some refrigeration technology other than liquid gas refrigeration and freon. Currently it is largely freon based, and the same is I have also seen that it is the all weather AC kind of thing which is mounted on the refrigerator containers. It is all weather AC only, not beyond that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Your question is valid. Unfortunately, I have become a moderator because I am representing company called Frick India.
Yes, I have also seen the plate freezer that you are
unfortunately, maybe in another forum I will give a presentation. But
yeah, okay.
next dairy industry, there is a next presentation in which a Japanese gentleman is giving about CO2 being used as a refrigerant, which is now catching up in various other countries. So in the next session of dairy, Mr. Higashira is going to talk about a little bit of CO2 refrigeration. But of course, that is also a liquid refrigeration only.
Yes,
but it is sustainable, at the same time energy efficient than freon systems, and safe also.
Yes,
so,
okay.
So this is some IQF systems are going to use CO2 systems in India.
But so CO2 and nitrogen, freon, and the other one is HCFC. They are being used, but largely it is the freon that is being used.
Yes, yeah, that
and the ammonia.
We have to change. We have to change to natural refrigerants, and it's going to happen, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks.
I will separately send you some details. I'll separately send you some details.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sudhir.
Thank you, the panelists. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Shiven, Ashish, Vivek. Sorry we couldn't hear your full presentation. And thank you to IACC. I have to go to the next session.
And may I request Miss Neelu to share all the presentation that our honorable speakers have presented.
Yes, sir. We'll ensure that you get it, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, please. Thanks, everybody, and thanks, audience also.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you very much.